The Extreme Showdown is probably the toughest part of the Extreme program. Facing Randy Johnson, Nolan Ryan, and Aroldis Chapman on Hall of Fame difficulty is really tough. However, I'm going to give you guys some tips and hopefully some good advice to get you through the showdown, hopefully as stress-free as possible. This is definitely the hardest part of the program, so if this is difficult, don't be too upset about it. I think a lot of people are going to struggle. You may want to consider going other routes through the program. When you look at the Extreme program, remember you do have the route to get parallel XP. You don't need the parallel 5 carry wood if you do the showdown in the moment and the conquest. However, you do probably want to consider skipping said showdown. So what I would do is definitely go for parallel 5 carry wood to get the extra 10 stars. At that point, you need to do this repeatable mission 5 times, get 25,000 parallel XP in any mode, which you'll just passively get over time by playing the game. I don't know how long it'll take, but I did a bunch of conquests. I only got 11,000 PXP, so keep that in mind. It's gonna take a little bit longer, but that might be the route you want to go if you don't want to do this showdown. It is definitely not easy. So first, let's go through the pitchers and the difficulties you have to face and how that'll affect that initial draft that we're doing for the showdown. First, you'll be facing Finest Greinke on veteran, then Finest Al Leiter on veteran as well. So 2 slow throwing pitchers. Actually, Greinke isn't that slow in the velo. Then you're going to be facing Ryan Helsley on All-Star with the outlier fastball. You're going to be facing 99 Mike Messina on All-Star right after, and then 99 Grayson Rodriguez on All-Star as well. So you're jumping up to, again, an outlier pitcher after a slower pitcher. This part isn't the worst. However, I've seen people get stuck on Helsley because you only have 5 outs to get a run with him. Then, after you get through Grayson Rodriguez, you jump up to Aroldis Chapman and then Hall of Fame difficulty. So you have 7 outs to get a run. This one could be a little tough. Then you have Nolan Ryan, who is definitely tough on Hall of Fame. You have to get 2 or 3 runs on Hall of Fame at Minute Maid against him, which isn't easy. Then you got to get a couple runs, 4 by the time you get all these things done against 99 Randy Johnson. I've heard some people suggest skipping Nolan Ryan. It's really just a confidence thing. You may want to consider it because he can be tough, but I would at least consider going through step by step, trying to beat Nolan Ryan at least one go. If he's the person that's your problem, then don't be afraid to skip. But now we got to go through the draft and how this affects our strategy. Since we're on veteran difficulty for the first 2, this will be where the silvers really are a bigger impact on your team. Then once you get to the All-Star, the golds will start to be a little bit more important as well. They have a little bit more viability since you have slightly better hitting attributes on All-Star. The silvers will likely start to be less important, maybe hit your bench and all that as you're completing these. And once you get to this point, these diamonds are going to really be the picks that matter. Honestly, I think the 97 and 99 overall batters are the biggest ones because you need to choose the right hitters to face these best pitchers in the game. So let's go through the draft and what I would be looking for draft-wise in terms of players against these pitchers. So here is an example draft. Let's go through our picks. Honestly, the easy pick here is definitely Julio Rodriguez for the great contact and power. If for some reason you are unsure of players, 2 things I am looking for in the showdown, because with these big diamonds, these are going to be your most impactful hitters against, say, Nolan Ryan and Randy Johnson and Aroldis Chapman. What do you want to look for in players for the showdown? I am leaning towards contact over power. So I would rather have the higher contact players than the lower contact players. Guys like Aaron Judge, honestly, versus both sides, are the lower contact archetype. Only because he has that, those smaller PCIs and the higher difficulty can be problematic. I don't recommend using someone like a Judge in the showdown. You probably want to choose someone like Julio Rodriguez with the 106 and 107 contact like he has for me. Or honestly, someone like a Jason Kendall wouldn't be bad because he's got great contact versus both sides. Reason I say this is because when you have the smaller PCIs, Nolan Ryan and Randy are going to do some more swings and misses, ground balls and all that. Having the higher contact, you might get a little bit more fluky hits, which is definitely valuable in terms of getting confidence down and keeping the showdowns going. And in terms of Hall of Fame difficulty, very, very valuable. So I'm going to pick Julio Rodriguez. On a round like this, the easy pick is certainly Starling Marte. In other showdowns, you may lean towards Ryan Howard, but since you have to play on Hall of Fame and you're facing 2 lefties on Hall of Fame, Ryan Howard is going to be a non-factor with 70 contact versus left. you probably want to go for Starling Marte, who has above 100 contact versus both sides. Here's another round. I would say you probably want to go for either Seiya Suzuki or Austin Meadows. I would go for Meadows because he brings more power, but pretty similar contact to Seiya Suzuki. He is going to be slightly worse versus the lefties, but again, the lower diamonds aren't going to be as much of a factor on the higher difficulties. Obviously, they matter, but your really high overall ones are going to be the players you really need to choose particularly. I'd be going right here for Austin Meadows. And remember, we're going to be playing mainly with the golds and the silvers on the veteran and all-star missions. So again, you don't need as much contact when you're on those difficulties since the PCIs are smaller. But remember, you are facing 99 overall pitchers. And I think the tougher ones are the guys like Grayson Rodriguez. You probably want to choose the hitters that are better versus righties. You only got to face the lefty once on the lower difficulties, and it's out lighter on veteran. I don't think that's too difficult for people. So if this were me, I would be looking for someone like either Juan Soto or Brandon Marsh. I'd probably lean Brandon Marsh because he has the higher contact. So when you do get to the Nolan Ryan one, you'll be actually a very good hitter to use against him. So we'll go for Brandon Marsh. And then for our silvers, again, these are mainly going to be impactful on the veteran moments, but also all-star, maybe in the first 1 or 2 rounds on all-star. Well-rounded hitting, hopefully someone who's good versus both sides. Honestly, Luis Guillorme wouldn't be a bad pick because of his good contact. The power's a little low, but remember on those lower difficulties, is being a consistent batter is valuable. None of these guys really bring enough power versus both sides to really be worth it to me. Maybe Charlie Blackmon versus right, but he also only has 52 contact. At least Guillorme could be a viable hitter with that level of contact versus both sides. And again, we're facing mostly the righties on the lower difficulty, so we'll go for Guillorme. In terms of quirks, I like to choose quirks that are active more often. So the ones that say while you're losing or in the 7th inning or later, those ones I think are always activated in these showdowns. Basically, unless you're tied, obviously they don't activate that much, but that's what I'm looking for. Also, things with contact boosts I think are nice because especially when you're facing the harder to hit pitchers, having the contact boost could be pretty impactful. I would be looking for something like this, contact boost on inside pitches or contact boost on first pitch that you bet. However, I don't think a lot of people are going to be swinging first pitch, so I would go for insider info. Here we go. Spark plug is a great one. Go for contact boost in the 7th inning or later. That's an easy one right there. So yeah, in terms of your team, make sure in the main draft you're comfortable with the players because the big diamonds are going to be the impactful ones later on. A lot of people can beat Greinke and lighter and so on. Once you get towards around the Grayson Rodriguez area is when it gets tough. So make sure you are choosing players you are comfortable with, mainly the diamonds. If you don't like it, it's only 500 stubs to forfeit and redraft. I would just forfeit and start over. It's better than wasting half an hour of your time and just pooping to bed. And remember, you start to get diamonds about halfway through. The bigger impactful ones are the 90 to 96 and then the 97 to 99 overalls. I chose Roberto Clemente late in this draft and it was incredible. I would definitely be looking for the good contact in this latter part of the showdown because it really helps you stay alive, get some more hits, and honestly having the bigger PCI will give you more success. And overall, when you're in game, just try to be patient, work some counts a little bit more if you can. Try not to swing at the first pitch every single time, especially as you get later on. Chapman, Nolan Ryan, and Johnson have a little bit of wild control. So if you can just keep that confidence a little bit low, burn that energy a bit, they will start to throw some more hanging pitches. So once you get to the latter part, Nolan Ryan is really just, from my experience, just hitting the fastball and the changeup. He'll eventually start to hang those changeups, but also he throws a lot of fastballs over the heart of the plate. Be ready for fastballs down the middle. And that may sound redundant, but he threw a lot of them that I missed when I was failing his showdown. It was driving me nuts. I wasn't hitting the hittable pitches. So there is a point where you still get the hittable pitches versus Nolan Ryan. Issue is he throws really hard, so they're tough to hit sometimes. And Randy Johnson throws a lot of four seams, splitters, and sliders. Throws a lot of sliders outside his zone. A lot of splitters hang. So when you're facing Randy, again, you might see some hanging splitters. The more you work the count, the confidence getting down, you may have a higher probability of hanging those pitches, which will be the pitches that you need to hit. So, point I want to make with this showdown, you got to really be ready to hit on Hall of Fame for these three guys. You got to make sure you have the bigger PCIs, the right type of hitters chosen. Make sure you have the right strategy in game. It is not easy. Like I mentioned, it's the hardest part of the program. Don't be shocked if you need to skip it because it is very difficult to complete. I failed it once The first time I failed, it made me absolutely sad. And even though you have 25 outs to score 4 versus Randy, with how this game plays sometimes, you can just hit line out after line out, unlucky out, and you really got to stay even-keeled and relaxed. When you start to get frustrated and swinging everything, that's when the outs start going away like that. Makes you really focus on those high diamond hitter at bats. That'll be your best opportunity to score runs. And if you are absolutely desperate, someone on the MLB The Show subreddit, I decided to take a little scroll through before I hopped on in case I missed anything with the Extreme program. They seem to suggest that you may want to try going the bunt route for some of your players. Choose something like a Byron Buxton, Juan Pierre, Kenny Lofton if they show up, and then any of the quirks that affect bunting and stealing, so you can get that free runner on. You can basically steal bases. I don't know, I haven't played Showdown like that. If you've tested it, let me know in the comments and let me know how that helped you. But I appreciate you all watching this video. Good luck on the Showdown. It is not easy, but be prepared to take custom practice. Stay relaxed, and when you start to get frustrated is when the outs really start to burn you. And if you don't have a good run or two on the Showdown, just drop it and pick it up another day, because this really sinks away in your time. And it sucks when you play this game for 3, 4, 5 hours and you haven't made single progress in the program because you can't beat the Showdown. But if you want to watch my video I made yesterday on the extreme moments, go watch that video up here. And I will be uploading a video basically right after this tonight with my conquest tips, because I finally completed the entire program. But I'll see you guys again on that next video later today. Deuces.